Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to Albany City Council meeting on February 9th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Thank you for all for attending this evening or watching on YouTube and also the Facebook Live. I'd like to call the meeting to order and with Councilor Bartholomew lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So go ahead and mute your mic and she'll be live.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Councilor Olson. Can we have a roll call, please? Councilor Bartholomew, I'm sorry.
Well, there we go.
I'll put 50 cents in the jar.
Okay. Councilor Olson,
Here.
Councilor Novak,
Here.
Councilor Bartholomew,
Here.
Councilor Kopsinski,
Here.
Councilor Johnson,
Here.
Councilor Smith,
Here.
and Mayor Johnson II.
Here. Well, thank you all for being here this evening. Next on the agenda is a proclamation for Black History Month on page 3 of your packet. Matthew, you're going to share the proclamation. Thank you, sir. Black History Month, February 2022. Whereas Black History Month reminds us of our responsibility to honor the contributions and achievements of Black and African Americans and their pivotal role in shaping of our state and our nation. And whereas Black communities, activists, academics, military and political leaders, artists, and innovators have made long-lasting contributions in Oregon's history and have helped develop and shape Oregon's heritage and cultural landscape. And whereas the presence and visibility of the Black community continues to enhance and shape the quality of life in the city of Albany, Oregon. Whereas Albany is committed to diversity, equal opportunity, inclusion, and mutual respect as fundamental aspect of a healthy, thriving community. And whereas the Black community has been the target of discrimination and violence based on identity, which conflicts with our core values as a community. And whereas Black History Month calls our nation's attention to the continued need to recognize and combat racism and to build a community that lives up to our core values. And whereas Black History Month is a time when all Americans are encouraged to reflect on past successes and challenges of Black communities and to look to the future to ensure freedom, equity, and inclusiveness. And now, therefore, I, Alexander D. Johnson II, Mayor of the City of Albany, Oregon, do hereby proclaim February 2022 as Black History Month in the City of Albany, Oregon. In witness whereof, I hereto set my hand and cause the seal of City of Albany to be affixed this 9th day of February 2022. Alexander D. Johnson II, Mayor. Thank you very much. So, business from the public. Persons wanting to comment and or provide written materials for this record must register to speak and attach the materials and the email address provided before noon on the day of the meeting. And for what I understand, there was no one signed up to speak this evening and also no materials submitted. Number 5, approval of the agreement, IGA, intergovernmental agreement with the Dare Fire District for shared equipment. Fire Chief Shane Wooten is here to speak with us today on pages 4 to 8.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. I know this is a little unorthodox, but I'm asking permission to enter the attached intergovernmental agreement, or IGA, after the fact. But a little bit of history on what happened. Late December, I received a phone call from the fire chief of Adair Fire Department, letting me know that both fire trucks they had were broken down and they needed lengthy repairs, and he wasn't sure when they were going to get them back. So he asked if there was anything that we could do to help. Well, with the help of Rachel Bottomiller from the fire department, Diane Merzinski from finance, and then Peter's OK, we took a previous IGA that we had with Tangent Fire Department that addressed this exact topic and revised it to make it applicable to Adair. And then I went ahead, due to the urgency of them needing a fire truck, signed it, and then we lent them a fire truck that we just got back actually about a week ago while their fire trucks were repaired. So if council wishes that I had not entered this agreement, there's a exception in the contract that I can give a 30-day notice and back out of it. However, if you are okay with this IGA, then you can adopt a resolution and we can formalize it. So I can answer any questions you may have.
Council, I see the first person. Thank you, Fire Chief. Chief Wooten. First counselor is Counselor Smith, then Counselor Johnson.
I'm fine with it. I just wanted to congratulate you on your neighborliness.
Oh, we
Saw a
work-
problem, solved it.
Yes, we work really closely with all of our neighbors, which funny enough, I just talked to somebody from Lebanon who retired a long time ago, and they had mentioned in years past the fire departments having boundaries and just the conflict. It is not like that now. With all the Lynn County fire chiefs, we all work together, and Benton County fire chiefs work together and help each other out.
Thank you very much for the explanation, Chief. It's Counselor Johnson's next up.
Yeah, thanks. I agree with Counselor Smith. And I do remember the kind of like turf wars, or, you know, where they really, you know, you can't do this and stuff. And that has gotten so much better. For whatever reason, I'm so glad. And I think it's great. You know, probably if we had a problem, they would help us if they could. So I really like this just agreeable relationship that we have. So congratulations to you. Thank you.
Well, Councilor Johnson, actually, ironically, the agreement we have with Tangent, they borrowed one of our fire trucks for a week, and we actually, our air compressor broke, so we didn't have an air compressor. So they gave us the combination to their station, and we would go fill our breathing bottles at their station. So you're right, it goes both ways.
Thank you very much again. Thank you, Counselor Johnson. Counselor Kopsinski. You're muted, Counselor Kopsinski. There you
Thank
go.
I move we approve the resolution authorizing execution of an IGA with Adair Rural Fire District for shared equipment and apparatus.
Seconded.
Motion, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we have a reading of the resolution.
Mayor, you don't need to read the resolution.
Okay,
That's just ordinances.
all right, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let me see, next up is adoption of the consent calendar. Anybody find any issues they would like to resolve to have with this consent calendar?
Now I would move for the adoption of the consent calendar. And I just want to make one kind of humorous thing. When I was reading down on the number C, I thought it said Jose Cuervo. So you know where my mind was.
Very nice. I'd like
What can I
to
say?
Oh, thank you very much, Council. That was good. I'd like to thank Lori Flug Bronker's contribution and service on the Bicycle and
Yes.
Pedestrian Advisory Commission. And she has resigned for personal reasons, but we always want to thank people that serve our community. So thank you very much, Lori.
And we'll send a card like we normally
I've
do.
already signed it and put it on Kenzie's desk.
Great.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Thank you very much. Motion passes. Before we start business from the council, I'd like to make a statement. I'm sending an email as well through Peter to the council. Business from the council is not a time for further debate on a given topic unless you're responding to a question during. It's not a time for debate. So it's time to share things going on for you and your community. And we've been having the last couple meetings of larger debates on topics previously discussed. So I'd like to come back to that and have a more orderly meeting going forward. So I want to thank you for that. And I will send an email out with my thoughts on that. Okay. So first on my screen is Councilor Kopsinski. So business from the council.
No, just having way too much fun down at the carousel. Come on down and join us.
Thank you. Counselor Smith.
Thank you. I have two things this evening. One is I have been appointed to the Lynn County Transportation Advisory Committee. It's a group that oversees public transportation throughout the county, Lebanon, Sweet Home, Albany, our transit system, Lynn Benton Loop, the Lynn Shuttle, and all the various subsidiaries of those. My position represents the interests of our elderly population and travelers. So it's a 3-year term that ends when my council term ends. I'm very pleased to be a part of that group. First meeting is next week. And the second thing is today is the anniversary of my move to Albany 42 years ago.
Well, happy anniversary. Counselor.
Thank you.
Ah, yay.
Still having fun.
We haven't run you off yet, so.
A question for Marilyn, is your new position going to be tangentially connected at all with AMPO?
I think there's some cross pollination there, but yeah, this committee deals with, Chris knows more about it than I do, deals with funding allocations for the various transit services. And I spent a good 45 minutes on the phone today with the staff member from the county.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for accepting that responsibility, Counselor Smith. We'd appreciate updates from time to time.
Oh, I'll do it.
Thank you. Counselor Johnson, you're next up.
Okay, the only thing I have is that I have been following House Bill 4079. It was about a luxury tax that was going to be for some sort of a pilot program to give $750 a month for 3 years to someone. But anyway, apparently because of the opposition, I heard on the news tonight that it has been pulled, and I'm glad because it was, as someone explained, it was like a bait and switch type House bill to where you get it in and then they control it. So I was really glad to see that go down. But other than that, that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Counselor. Counselor Bartholomew.
Thank you. I first want to congratulate Marilyn on her new position and her longevity. It's great to have folks that have been here forever. I mean, such a long time. And I just wanted to say that the point in time count was heavily affected by Omicron, except for the folks from Creating Housing showed up in mass. And so I'm sure we're going to have some good reporting from the point in time count.
Counselor Bartholomew, can you explain what the point in time count is, please?
Yes, thank you so much for asking, Mayor. The point in time count is it actually takes place the last week of January every year, except for last year it didn't because of the pandemic. And all the persons who are unhoused are counted in the areas. And so then that number and aggregate information about our unhoused population allows us to receive funding from the federal government to administer programs and services.
Thank you for that. Counselor Novak, you're next up.
Thank you. I do have something. I received this past week in the mail a lovely note from a sweet, incredibly kind 88-year-old woman whose last name is Lois. It's either Moran or Marin. I can't quite read her. She has beautiful writing, but her script is so small. Even with glasses, I can't make out the last name. But she wrote in regard to something she had read in the paper. I don't know if I hold this up, if it just comes out backwards and upside down, or if you can see it at all. But it has to do with Albany's Laundry Love. It's a monthly ecumenical ministry of Albany churches that provides free laundry assistance to persons in need. And this takes place, it's offered on the first and third Tuesdays of every month from 8 to 11 a.m. at the Queen and Hill Laundromat. And she says
Sure, that's that.
it's all these churches helping, reaching out. They've created this, and they do realize that that might be too far away for some folks, you know, inconvenient for them. But I think they're working on a way to help individuals get their laundry done when they, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I forgot to turn the volume off on my phone, and that is a business call ringing through. My apologies.
It's okay.
At any rate, so I was so pleased. She read in the paper about our discussion of the unhoused and the needs that they have, from you know, toilets, portable toilets, to a way to wash their clothes, just basic, decent human needs. And so she sent me this article, and she wanted to make sure that the council and the city, and I guess everyone, that especially us counselors, because we can reach out to our constituents and let them know that this service exists. And it just shows me again what a heart our city has for the people in our city and how we do help one another. You know, you talked about the IGA with the fire departments, and I'll just say it's the same in restaurant world. We had a fellow restaurant call my sister before I came here to borrow some carrots. They just needed some carrots. They didn't have enough. I want you to know, you know, neighborliness, it reaches from one end of the spectrum to the other. And it does my heart good when I see people practicing that with one another. And I think we do that here, and I'd like to see more of it. And I believe we do have hearts and we care about one another. So laundry love. If you see people in need who don't know about it, let's get the word out. And God bless this consortium of churches and these kind people, and especially Loris Moran for bringing it to my attention.
Well, thank you so much, Counselor. That's a great story. I appreciate that. You know, and that's a great example of us being better together as a community. And I think that this kind of thing is contagious. And I think it's wonderful that happened. So I'm glad she sent that to you.
Yes.
Counselor Olson, you're next up.
Nothing.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I do have a few things. One, I think the city council received these beautiful flags made by a Ward 2 constituent, and Jeannie and Clyde Wells. And I was so moved by the letter she wrote to us that I called and I had lunch. I scheduled lunch with them this afternoon, and they're the most beautifully kind people that I've met in Albany. And of all the wonderful people I've met, it was really nice to just sit down and just have a conversation with these two wonderful people in our community. And so a lot of things are happening. We did have a parade meeting yesterday. So things are moving along in parade. And so Chris Reese and the team at YMCA and the communities of the different veterans organizations are working on the 2022 parade. What that looks like, we're still trying to figure that out, but it's moving forward. And there's a lot of coalitions building and relationships that are forming that is really positive for us. And then I got received a letter from a young man named Miles. I won't say his last name, but he wrote me a letter asking about how can he help and his friends help clean up part of his community in North Albany. And it was really touching. He actually put a date and time in the letter. So I'm going to respond to him, but I'm going to reach out to his parents and see if I can meet him and see how we can help him as a city council. And then if I were a mayor contest, I'm getting a lot of calls about that. A lot of young people have reached out to me with their parents, and they want to know how they participate and what's going to happen with it. So I'm excited about it. So I'm asking, so Matthew Harrington will be kind of leading that communications effort out in the community. And it's pretty exciting when this many young people are wanting to get involved and want to participate in our government. So I think it's wonderful. And lastly, I received a call from a young lady that's a student at Oregon State University. Her last vote was last election. Her first vote was last election. And one of her assignments was to reach out to a local leader and set up a meeting. And I met with her, and she watches city council meetings at 18 years old. And that, for me at 18, I was thinking about playing football or going to a party, but she's watching city council meetings at 18 years old. And so I think it's amazing that this young person reached out to me and wanted to find out about city council, find out about what an ordinance was or what a resolution was. And so I showed her our website, and I showed her the little graphic of us how city council set up with the city manager. It was just one of those refreshing moments in my week that it's kind of made the week. Other than that, it's been a good week. The weather's getting better. So get your projects done, start your landscaping and whatnot, Councilor Johnson. And then Councilor Novak, please make sure we get that information about that so we can get it out about the laundry thing. City manager report. Peter, you are next up, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I think Councilor Smith had a question,
sorry.
had her hand up there.
Go ahead, Councilor Smith.
Oh, I just popped that up quickly. I believe Chris Bailey had some comments about the Transportation Advisory Committee and AMPO.
Director Bailey.
Well, just to clarify, it's the committee Councilor Smith is on is one that decides how to allocate funding that comes to the county for specifically for elderly and disabled funding. And then they also allocate the new STIF money that goes to public transit systems. So it's a really important committee. We depend on that funding for our expanded service in transit. And then Councilor Kopczynski is on the Albany Area MPO board, which is a larger transportation group for the whole MPO region. And transportation is complicated, and I appreciate both of you. So if you have questions for me anytime, feel free to reach out.
Well, thank you both, Councilor Smith and Councilor Kopczynski, and thank you so much, Director Bailey, for the clarification. So now I will turn it over to the city manager for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you again for your retro approval of our IGA. You know, we talked a lot, and each one of you mentioned a little bit about that sense of cooperation and collaboration. And, you know, when I first got here, I vowed that we would be good neighbors with all of our neighboring jurisdictions, because so many of the challenges that confront us are regional challenges. They're not just city challenges for one city or another. Nevertheless, it was a retro approval, so thank you for that trust. Mayor, you made a comment about the 16-page agenda, light agenda that you have tonight. I want to ask you to appreciate that, because we're going to put you to work at the next work session. That's going to be a 2.5-hour session. So we try to remove some of the workload when we can, like we did Monday night. But there are those times when we have to spend a little bit more. It all evens out in the end.
Thanks for the warning.
Certainly. And then the last thing to mention to you is just to keep in mind that as the rescission of the mask mandate has been announced by no later than March 31st, we will return to council chambers when that happens. So keep that in mind. You know, as much as everybody looks forward to it, everybody still gets used to a pattern and a habit. So we're in the habit of these virtual meetings, and keeping in mind that it's been 2 years really since we've had a trend of meetings in the chamber. We did meet once or twice last July, but we'll return and hopefully, cross fingers, we'll do that for the rest of your time on the council. And Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. So our next meetings are Monday, February 21st at 4 p.m. a work session, strategic planning session with Sarah Singer Wilson. Go ahead, Councilor Johnson.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't know if you all get the Democrat Herald or not, but there's on the editorial page, there's a cartoon called Moderately Confused. And there's been so many references to it, but today it was like this guy looking at his closet and he says, "Oh, I'm just looking to see if they're ever gonna fit me again." And I'm thinking, oh, that is so true. You know, and the other one was a lady looking in the closet and saying, "Hello, do you remember me?" And I mean, it was just hilarious. And it just kind of explains what we've all been going through. So, you know, it's going to be different coming back to council, because we have to actually dress from the waist down, you know, and stuff.
That was too much information, but that's okay. Thank you. Okay, Councilor Novak.
Yes, sir. You didn't mention the 16th. Are we not having a ARA meeting on the 16th?
This is just for city council meetings. It will be, there will be a meeting on the 16th.
Thank you.
So next city council meeting is Wednesday, February 23rd at 6 p.m. It's a regular meeting. And with that, all of you, thank you
Okay.
very much for attending tonight's evening. I look forward to seeing you around town with a smile on your face. Hopefully we'll get that done. And enjoy your weather while you have it. So let's work hard together. And if you have any questions, just give me a call and we'll have coffee. Thank
Yeah.
you much. Thanks, Chief. Thanks,
Good
Director.
night.